Hey guys, it's Annabelle. So today I'm finally getting a chance to do some requested videos. I just did a video on our attachment parenting and a bit on our parenting style, and I wanted to follow up that video with teaching independence. Now, a lot of people assume that attachment parenting and teaching independence do not go together. However, in our family, we have found that they actually support one another. So we start from birth with attachment parenting, and if you've watched my previous video or want to go back and look at that video, I talk about how it starts to form a bond, a sense of security and safety, and just a close relationship, and it allows your child to feel loved, safe, secure, where they have a place to come to, fall back on, where mommy and daddy are a safe haven for them, and it just all builds on that relationship. So what we have found is that by building that relationship and that close bond where they know that they are supported is actually helping encourage independence. So we start teaching independence at a very young age. Right now, my son is 7 months old. Now, if we took a picture of a couple months ago, you would have found that if myself, my husband, or my daughter would leave the room or not be in my son's view or eyesight range, that he would become anxious and a little bit upset. Now, my son needed constant activity around him, and if he wasn't being entertained, he would become a little bit anxious or upset. Where he is at now and where we've come in the last month is my son has actually learned how to crawl. So if he is exploring his world even more now. He was rolling to whatever he wanted and things like that, but now that he is able to crawl, he can move a lot quicker. So he will, if we're all in the living room playing and things, he will crawl into the other room and find a toy to play with and start playing with that. And so what we found is that we're letting him be alone by himself and exploring on his own just a little bit longer and longer and longer amounts of time. And so what he is learning is that he can be by himself, he can find something for himself to do, he can entertain himself. And so that's where we started with our daughter as well. We slowly started letting them play alone, let them use their own imagination, find things for themselves to play with. So just the playing alone just starts getting longer and longer and longer, and then it slowly builds into them doing more and more things. And as they hit milestones and are able to speak and they become coordinated physically and things, they're able to do a whole lot more. So how we kind of take things in our step to independence is we do just that. We make the first step, and then once they have the first step down, then we move on to the next step. And once they have the next step down, we move on to the next step, and so on. So just an example of learning independence is something like washing your hands. So when we first started teaching our daughter how to wash her hands, we would wash her hands for her. So just for the fact that she needed to know that she needed to wash her hands after she went to the bathroom, after she came in from outside, before she sat down and ate, after she ate, or if she was helping me cook and had flour all over her hands, that we needed to wash our hands. So when we first started washing her hands, we washed her hands for her. And then we did hand over hand and had her wash her hands, but we put our hand on her hand and guided her hand. And once she got comfortable with that, then we started letting her do it by herself. And we just went step until she could completely wash her hands by herself. So where she's been at for the last, oh goodness, I don't even know how long. She's been washing her hands by herself for so long. But now she gets her step stool, she puts it up by the sink, she crawls up on her step stool, she turns the hot and the cold water on halfway so the bars are parallel, because that will get her warm water. And she takes one pump of soap, she gets her hands a little bit wet and starts lathering up, and she sings the happy birthday song and gets the middle, the top, in between her fingers, all soapy while she's singing the happy birthday song. And then she rinses all the soap off, shuts the water off, gets a towel, wipes her hands, puts the towel back, and goes on with her day. So all of that was a step thing to get her to do that by herself. Now she can wash her hands by herself. She does all the steps by herself in the correct order, and she's able to do that task by herself. And that's how we have done everything, is we do for her what she is not able to do, and we help her with what she is learning, and we do not help her with things she already knows how to do. And with every new task and every new thing that she learns, she gets more and more self-confidence, and she like beams with self-confidence. One day she came down the stairs and she's like, "Mommy, I made my bed all by myself." And this is something that we have not like practiced, because like we don't make our beds or anything. We've straightened up like when people come over and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, she probably just threw her blanket on her bed and was like, "I made my bed." So she was like, "Come see, come see." So we went up the stairs, and she had put her pillows where they go. She had put all of her stuffed animals and dolls like where they go. And she had pulled her top cover of her bed up, and it was like actually like made. Like it was still like a hair messy, but her bed was made. And I was like, "Where did you learn how to do that?" And she took the initiative to do things by herself. And just an example of how we would set a boundary on something that she does. My daughter is able to get in the refrigerator by herself and get her own snacks. However, if it is before lunchtime, like if lunch is being made and she's hungry, sometimes she tries to go make herself food or eat food before it is like lunchtime or dinner time. So we've had to kind of let her see how consequences play out, where if she has already eaten and like dinner wasn't made yet, and now dinner is ready and she's full, she still has to sit at the table while mommy and daddy and brother eat. And so that's a natural consequence of eating like too soon. So there are some things that she is fully capable of doing by herself. She just doesn't know like timing and things like that. But that's all going to be like learned in the future. So anyways, so we have her do as much as she can by herself, and the same thing we are going to do with our son. As soon as he is able to do something, we will introduce a new task to him, and it's just amazing how once they can do one thing, they think that they can do everything. So independence is just a great thing to teach. And as always, like if my daughter has questions or feels uncomfortable about something or doesn't really quite know how to do a certain thing, she knows that she can come back to us and that we're going to help her out with it. And she can ask questions, get her questions answered, and know that we are going to support her in doing what she is able to do. And she has now learned that I do not ask her to do something that she can't do or that I don't think that she can do. So it's just awesome to see her trust me that if I'm asking her to do something, that mommy thinks I can do this, so I bet I can do this. But she's still able to ask us for help in whatever situation she has. Right now she's able to go like out and do things by herself. Like on play dates and things. So we just kind of set boundaries for her, like if I can't see you and you can't see me, then you're probably too far. So we do set boundaries like that on her. But what we have found, if we're like at a gathering or something like we were last night, where there's a lot of other adults and other kids to play with, that she will actually come like look for us and kind of find out where we're at and kind of be like, "Okay, there you are. Hi, mommy, how are you? I'm doing this. Is that okay?" And she kind of checks in. So that kind of like tells me that she's kind of just like checking in, like everything's okay. Mom and dad are still here. I'm still doing my own thing and everything's okay. And then she can go back out and she can go explore and do new things, because I found she learns so much from older kids and like so much from just being around other children. And again, like the natural consequences and like things like that are coming true in some of our play dates. Like if she's not nice to a certain kid or a kid's not nice to her, then she doesn't want to play with them or they don't want to play with her. And so that's kind of a natural consequence. So that's teaching her social behavior and things. And I found that I don't have to step in because she's kind of handling situations by herself. So that is absolutely awesome. But again, she can always like come back to us and like know that we are her safe haven, and that if she needs help with anything or feels uncomfortable or insecure whatsoever, that we are there for her. She did have a couple of nightmares a few nights. She woke up screaming and we were like, "Oh my goodness, what is wrong?" And she's like, "I can't lift it." And we were just like, oh, you can't lift what? And she's like, no one would help me lift it. Would mommy and daddy, will you help me lift it? And we're like, yes, baby, we'll help you lift whatever you want. And so she went back to sleep, and she woke up the next morning and she's like, mommy and daddy, help me lift it. I can do it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like that was just like so empowering. So she must have redreamed the same thing or continued her dream where like me and my husband like helped her out with something. And that is just an awesome feeling. So she knows that we're going to help her and like support her in whatever she wants to do, so she can keep learning new things and growing and changing and just become her own person. So if you have any questions or comments on how we teach independence, or if you want like any suggestions on any certain like specific like topics of where kids can be independent, I would be like more than happy to share my experience. I have found that with parents who do everything for their kids, that yes, it is a whole lot easier, but your children tend to not learn how to do it by themselves if mom and dad always do it for them. My daughter had one of her best friends, her mommy does everything for her. So when she comes to our house and our daughter is setting the table or putting dishes away or helping out, she's like, what are you doing? Like she's like, that's what your mommy's supposed to do. Like it's just kind of like funny how like different families are. But that's just what I found, where if parents do everything for their kids either one, don't think they have to do it, or like just expect somebody else to do it, or like they just don't want to do it because they expect somebody else to do it. So anyways, I am all about like kids learning, and again, like I have my daughter do some things that a lot of people think that she is too young for, but my daughter enjoys it, and she absolutely loves being able to do stuff by herself. So we let her help with all parts of everything that we do that she is able to do. But anyways, if there's any questions or comments, please leave them below. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys later. Bye guys.